Unmasking in a video first era, authenticity, optics, and ownership. We're talking about it all today. There was a time you could handle your business and it wouldn't be so public. That's T.I. on $1 million worth of game, talking about envy, public scrutiny, and what happens when your obstacles are filmed. Now, let me ask you something. If everyone and everything were visible, if you were visible, if your platform became visible, suddenly all the eyeballs were on you, would your brand survive the camera? Today, we're breaking it down. We're talking about Apple going all in on video, why podcasts are not video first, AI music tools entering the game, and what authenticity actually looks like when the mask comes off. Welcome to the podcast weekly briefing, your 30-minute executive rundown of what matters in podcasting. I am DaniMarie, your podcast coach and mentor. You can find more information about me on our website, plantopodcast.com, or reach out to me, hello@itisidanimarie.com. All right, so let's get into it. Who watches $1 million worth of game? I know I do. I don't always catch them, but every now and again I will pop in. And of course, if you guys have been listening to the industry, music and hip hop, T.I. dropped a banger. Everybody's vibing out to his latest album. And he, of course, is on his press run. So he was featured on the $1 million worth of game podcast. So T.I. talks about envy, public scrutiny, obstacles being filmed, blanket opinions about communities. This to me is a masterclass in vulnerability without oversharing. I wanted to share this clip. Let me make sure that I have it for you. But if not, I will just briefly outline. So on the episode, the first thing out the gate that Wallow asked T.I. was basically, tell me, what does Atlanta mean to you? Because to everybody else, there was a lot of envy, there was a lot of hate, there was a lot of people who saw Atlanta trying to come up. And, you know, at the time, California was hot, down south in Texas was hot. And then you had New York, of course, the Mecca. And here comes ATL trying to put on for the town. And basically, you know, what was going on at that time? That was the question on the floor. So what I like T.I. says is that, you know, there was a lot of hate, there was a lot of envy, but we have to always be careful of being envious. You know, that whole crabs in a barrel bucket mentality, we have to be careful with that because you never know who you're ostracizing and to what detriment and how it could impact you at the end of the day. So I think I found the clips, you guys. Let me try to share this clip with you. And let me exit out of everything else. Y'all know how this goes. It can never be as seamless, no matter how much I prepare. I promise you. Okay, no, this is old news, y'all. So make sure you check out that Wallow episode. That T.I. episode, $1 million worth of game. Man, I wanted to have it for you guys. Make sure, because I have my episode links, I have my pod news links, everything was right here. And now I don't have time to go grab it and figure out what happened. What had happened was, but let me try one more thing. I will say that I woke up so happy about today. Between all of there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but not to be remiss with everything going on in like Mexico, the US right now. But sometimes it just feels good to wake up and just not think about those tragic things, because I feel like we're being inundated with all of that all of the time. But a few of my clients gave me some praise reports this morning. I'm on cloud nine. I got money coming through from clients, so I'm just happy. I won't belabor the point. Make sure you guys check it out. I had everything queued up. I'm mad at myself because I just walked through the door, immediately jumped on, and suddenly everything I need is not available to me. I'm going to try, let's just do it this way, because at the end of the day, this is stuff that I watched, so I know what I'm looking for. We'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. We'll just have to do it like this. History. My clips that I clipped yesterday. All right, here we go. All right, we're just going to have to do it like this, y'all. Lean with it, rock with it.
I won't even say success. I say my energy. You know what I mean? My energy is that of an Atlanta nigga. You know what I mean? It's refined and reformed, but it's still the energy of an Atlanta nigga. And that shit, they'll kind of, when we had an opportunity to present that shit to the world ate it up. You know what I mean? They had seen New York nigga before. They had seen LA nigga before. They were, kind of familiar with Chicago niggas, even Texas. But when Atlanta got, and I say, hey, it's another flavor out here. Then motherfucking the world ate that shit up.
Why is it that when the door opened for Atlanta, everybody kept opening the door, like they held the door open for others? And you play a pivotal part in a lot of people's careers, not just making phone calls, making introductions for people. What bred that in Atlanta, that people look out for each other?
That's the Atlanta way. You know what I mean?
That's the Atlanta way. You don't have to be the crab in a barrel. We could all eat. And I think we're getting closer to that now when we see the state of the affairs and the climate that we're currently in. If we don't band together, we are going to get left behind. There is no solo dolo doing it by yourself. So I just appreciate Tip on that tip. Just talking about, there's a lot of people that envied my success, but they're misguided. They have no clue. If you band together, you can do more. And so just hats off to him. Make sure you guys are listening to that Fire album. He is the GOAT. Definitely goated. All right. So then let's stop sharing real quick. Let's get to the next topic of discussion. So I guess one thing I did look over, the camera amplifies conflict. There's always, like, what I didn't like about Wallow, he came out the gate saying, why do people hate Atlanta, basically. He didn't use those words, but that's basically the sentiment, is that you are the most hated, or at the time you were, and why is that? And I like T.I.'s mature response. It's like, hey, you can look at it that way. Think about all the people who envy me, but, look at my success. For everybody that envies me, it didn't change the trajectory of where I was going. right? And so the camera often amplifies conflict. The internet amplifies narrative, but voice still builds connection. So T.I. still showing up. He's obviously been able to transcend. We've seen him on movies. We've seen him now in comedy. We've seen him do this rap thing. We've seen him in what he's done with the community. We've seen how he's put his whole entire family on. So legacy, that's what people are envious of. But, you know, you could look at the blueprint and you could say, hey, there's no reason for me to envy this man. I could be doing the same thing. So shout out to Tip again. All right. Now, let's get into this vocabulary word of the hour. So the vocabulary is, somebody give me a drum roll. I know we got some sound effects. Let's see. The word of the day is HLS, video distribution. HLS, I'm going to give you guys a second to drop in the chat. What do you think this means? What is the definition? And why does it matter? I'm going to give you some time for those of you watching. Define HLS distribution. HLS or HTTP live streaming is an adaptive bitrate video streaming protocol developed by Apple that delivers video over standard HTTP using a playlist. Let me repeat. HLS or HTTP live streaming is an adaptive bitrate video streaming protocol developed by Apple that delivers video over standard HTTP using a playlist. I'm going to drop that in there for you all to read that. So this is why it matters. It's what powers Apple's new video podcast rollout. Apple plus Apple Podcasts just announced advanced video podcast capabilities using HLS. So what does this mean for you? Seamless switching between audio and video, offline downloads, dynamic video ad insertion, monetization expansion, and no hosting fee from Apple. So impressions are based on the dynamic video ads. Apple wants creators to monetize video without leaving the podcast ecosystem. So like for me, I work with a lot of indie podcasters. And so many of them are not getting, in the top 1% of podcast downloads. So it's harder for them to monetize. However, it does not mean that they cannot monetize. They can do other things, creative advertising, work with other brands, local brands in their area, create digital downloads, have the affiliate links, become ambassadors, and those are different ways. And if you're using your platform to market your own brand, product, or services, those are the ways you can monetize. Now, Apple is saying, we want you to bring those dollars here. We'll pay you a little cut. So we want to make it easier. So now Apple is moving into video podcasting, coming off of the heels of Spotify, who's already done it, YouTube. And so we're just now moving in a space where, video is king, but I'm going to say video is queen. King is still audio at the end of the day. But I do think that it would behoove you to do both. It just always makes sense to be where your audience is and to reach out wherever you can to make sure that people can find you. Now, according to Triton Digital, only 7% exclusively watch podcasts. Let me repeat that while I share. I think we had a okay, that didn't get carried over. But podcasts are not video first. They are hybrid consumption experiences. I think we need to highlight that. This matters because creators are panicking into cameras. Some people don't feel ready. Some people feel forced into doing video. Again, audio is still king. But the data says audio still dominates behavior. So that's important to note. That's another article that came out of podnews.net. Podnews.net. TuneTaxi, they launched an AI-powered royalty-free music generator. I know one of our biggest things as podcasters is finding free or royalty music. I've used Suno, but it still doesn't mean you get the, like if you pay for the package, then you can get the royalty free. But TuneTaxi is an app where you can guarantee you're going to get the royalty-free music. It's a royalty-free music generator. It generates tracks from your scripts. It modifies the instruments, adjusts the length to fit your segments. 100,000 plus production tracks have been created. You have free and premium tiers. Now, this lowers the production friction for indie podcasters, narrative shows, video creators needing custom beds, but it also raises a question. If everyone has AI music, what makes your show sonically unique? I will say I have used Suno to create my own jingles for my podcast. So we have one for Ho City Hustle. My kids sing it all the time. Oh, City Hustle. Oh, oh, oh. Right. We hustling, Ho City. That's how it goes. So that's how it's unique to me, because it's the name of my podcast. So I make sure to include maybe the name of your podcast or maybe your taglines or whatever you can include to make it distinctly you. When it comes to podcasting for newbies, which we're now planning to podcast, but it was I can't even think of the jingle for podcasting for newbies anymore. Hey there, newbies, welcome to the show, where the mics are hot and the something ideas flow. In the world of podcasting, you never know. We're here to help guide you and sing. I forget. And then he goes, welcome to the podcast where dreams can come true. Yeah. But now we have one for Plan to Podcast. You tune in to Plan to Podcast with DaniMarie and Podcast Peeps. Oh, tuned in to Plan to Podcast with DaniMarie and Podcast Peeps. So then that's how it's distinctly me. So to the question about AI music and whether you want to tap into the royalty-free music on, what was it, TuneTaxi, it may be something worth considering. I use Suno. I recommend TuneTaxi to you. I haven't had a chance to check it out. I definitely will, and I'll report back. But how does it make you stand out? You include your own title, your own taglines to make the sound sonically unique. Now, the Joe Budden podcast featuring Jill Scott, another fire episode that I watched this past week. My favorite part, I shared it already this past week in my feed on Facebook. And I was basically saying the part where Jill was like, I feed my son. She has a son, and she was talking about how much she feeds him books, feeds him literature, and he's just so dope. And now he's feeding her. And I just love that. That's something that I try to do every time. I was watching, Mr. Roger with my kids the other day and listening to 80s and 90s hip hop music and making sure, no, you listen to this, Pierre. No, Prince, come over here and listen. You know, making sure that they get it. I don't want my kids to not get it. I was listening to another conversation earlier today, and they were talking about how, you know, the younger generations have been coddled and they don't get it and blah, blah, blah. I want to do my part and make sure my kids know who they are, know where they come from, know the background, know their history, know the culture, and do what I can to make sure that not only are they book smart, but they got a little street smarts too. Because you need both. Survival is key. A lot of us are experiencing a lot of stuff, but many of us come from tough backgrounds. So it's kind of like we're cut from the cloth. So we're really not bothered or fazed by any of it. But there's a lot of people out here struggling. I look at a lot of people battling depression. You know, I pray for them, but I think a lot of us that come from the cloth and live, you know, a hard, tough life, they know how to adapt. So that's what I'm trying to instill in my children. So let me just share this clip of the queen herself, Mrs. Jill Scott, on the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah,
You seem like
that'd be fly when you really like your kid.
you seem
When
like
you
the
like
best. That's-
your kid.
Yeah.
And I like him.
Mhm.
I just feed him all the time. Like I feed him, and now he's feeding me back, and it's crazy.
That's how it works.
I feed him books. I feed him music. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. Well, musically, like, you know, sometimes it's muddy waters. Like, that's my boy.
I just love that. She talked about how he was born on 420 at 420. And this still didn't get removed, the vocabulary, y'all. He was born on 420 at 420 to the song Dunna Dunna. So he's hip hop. And, you know, there's something special about each of our children that we need to pay close attention to. And we need to make sure that we're helping sharpen and help gird and nurture that. So shout out to Joe Budden and his success. Shout out to the whole squad for having such an amazing elite guest on the platform. I think before that, the one that I watched was ASAP Rocky. All right, we got folks calling me, bothering me while I'm trying to be live, so excuse the interruption. Next, let's see here. Angie Martinez had Tisha Campbell on the podcast. In real life. So that is something that I loved watching because Tisha Campbell was talking about, you know, one of her good friends, AJ from House Party, told her to take the mask off. She talks about unmasking, learning not to perform constantly. So let's cut to that. You guys, by the way, tell me what kind of podcast you guys like to watch. I know some of you that follow me like true crime. I want to try to tap into some of that with you. So let me know what you guys are watching, what you're listening to. I like personal development. I like, you know, Black culture. I like politics. So that's what I tend to watch. But let me know, what are you guys tapped into? But let's listen to this clip of Tisha talking about unmasking, taking the mask off, and actually being challenged by her friend.
She wanted to be a medical doctor, but, you know, made that turn. Anyway,
she told
she
you
was
to
the
take
one
your
that took the
mask
mask off.
Is that the first person who ever said that?
That's the first person who ever said that to me. It was 2016 Easter.
Were you
so it's my
offended?
No, I was begging her because she was life coaching a bunch of people that day. And it was an Easter party that I was having at my house. And I was like, I'm next. Because she would play this game, salt or pepper, mom or dad, you know, and in between she would read you for filth, right? So I was like, I'm next. And she was like, ah. So then she told me the truth. She was like, take the mask off. And it was crazy because it literally, figuratively felt like everything just shattered onto the ground. And I saw all of these people that happened to be in my house that day. A lot of them I didn't even know. And I was like, you know, when with the Wizard of Oz, when they turn into color, when the black and white turns, that's what it was like. I opened my eyes and I was like, oh, everybody's not nice. Because I'm a type of person that believes in a good man first. Always have been.
Yeah.
And but what that does is it doesn't leave room for discernment. And so at that moment, my eyes opened, I was awake, and I couldn't put the mask back on. It was a little harder to do, even if I'm doing it for the best.
What does it feel to take the mask on, mask off, and feel like she's in her 50s? Oh goodness, you guys. This is just horrible. With all these interruptions, I guess I got booted off of the camera. So all right, well, I don't know. But what does it mean to take the mask on and off? I think right now people are looking for authenticity. And it would be in your best interest, no matter how complicated it is, no matter how painful and excruciating and embarrassing and not fun and not cute and not whatever other standards people try to hold you to. I think it would be in your best interest to show up as your authentic self and take the mask off, you guys. Mask on, mask off. Let me do something, you guys. Hold on. Somebody kept calling me and